My name is Swami Arjuna. I stand before you now, not as a man who is certain, but as a man who has been broken open by truth. I never thought I would speak these words. Never. My life was one of doubt, of questions that couldn't be answered, of reason that drowned out the whispers of the unseen. I was a skeptic, comfortable in my disbelief. But that day, the day I was struck by lightning, that day changed everything. The sky was dark. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, like any other. But in an instant, everything went still. I felt it before I saw it, an energy, a force, building around me, crackling with power. And then, there was nothing but light. Not light as you know it, but a blinding force, a searing intensity that tore through me, shattered everything I thought I knew. It was as if the heavens themselves reached down to take me. I remember falling, then nothing. I remember the weightlessness, the silence. My body gone, time gone. In that moment there was only being, only knowing, and in that void I was called. A voice, deep and eternal, echoed in the emptiness, whispering my name. Swami Arjuna. He called me, and when I returned, I was not the same. How could I be? I had touched something beyond the veil, something I never believed in, something I feared, yet something that now clings to my soul, demanding that I share it with you. This truth is dangerous. It is not a truth to be spoken lightly, for it will unsettle your heart. But I must speak it, for I swore an oath, a vow, that if I lived, I would share what I had seen. I would speak of the truth that burns now in my chest, the truth that comes with great cost. You must understand. I died, and I returned to tell you there is more than what you see, more than what we know. He called my name in the dark. Before the lightning struck, my life was one of quiet routine. The world outside my door felt ordinary, safe, like the pages of a book I'd read 1,000 times, never wondering what lay beyond the next chapter. Each day I rose to the sound of my alarm, that cold mechanical hum that told me the world was ready for me to play my part. I would get dressed, drive to work, sit in meetings, speak to people, listen to their voices, their stories. It wasn't so much that I lived a life without purpose. It was more that I lived a life without wonder. I did the things I was supposed to do, and I did them with a sense of quiet resignation. There was no spark, no thrill, just a steady hum of existence. I lived like that for years, never questioning the silence that surrounded me, the hollow rhythm of it all. I would meet friends for dinner, laugh at the same jokes, watch the same news on TV. I would feel the weight of the world pressing down on me, but I never let it move me. There was a numbness to it all, a quiet disconnect. I felt like a spectator, not a participant. Each moment, each encounter, felt empty. But I never spoke of it. How could I? I didn't even know what to call it. Everything seemed fine, until it wasn't. The feeling started small. A nagging sense that something was off, something I couldn't quite grasp. At first, it was fleeting, like a shadow in the corner of my vision. I'd go about my day, push it down, ignore it, but deep inside, I could feel it growing. The discomfort grew. The questions I had never asked before began to rise like an ocean swell, slow and relentless. It wasn't just the monotony of the days, it was the feeling that something was missing, that something was just out of reach, and no matter how hard I searched, I couldn't find it. I tried to drown it in distractions, work, entertainment, conversations with people I barely knew, but the void, it was still there. It echoed in my chest like a distant drum, calling me to something. But what could I know? I was a skeptic, a man of reason, of logic. Everything I had built my life on told me that the answers were somewhere out there, in the tangible, the concrete. What did I know of things beyond what I could see, beyond what I could touch? The heavens, spirits, a life after death? These were things for the weak, for the ungrounded. And yet, there was a pull. He called me even then. I couldn't recognize it for what it was, but there was something in me that knew there was more. Something in me that whispered, "Return to the fire." But I was too afraid to listen, afraid of what it might mean to step away from the safety of my disbelief. So I ignored it. I kept moving, kept pretending everything was as it should be, but deep down I knew that a storm was coming. The silence was about to break. The veil between the known and the unknown was thinning, and I had no idea what was waiting on the other side. In that life, I was a man at the edge of something vast, something terrifying, and I could feel it, even in the calm of my days. I felt the tremors beneath the surface, but still, I did nothing. I kept my hands on the wheel, my eyes fixed on the road, refusing to acknowledge that the world was about to change forever. He called my name in the dark. It came without warning. One moment, I was standing there, feeling the warm air against my skin, feeling the pulse of life moving through my limbs. And then, a crack, a sound so violent it shook the world itself. The earth trembled beneath me, and for a moment, everything was silent. I didn't hear the thunder. I didn't hear the wind. I only felt the blinding light, the force that came down from the heavens, like a hand reaching for me, pulling me into its embrace. The pain, it was indescribable. It wasn't like any pain I had ever known. It wasn't like a broken bone or a wound that bleeds. No, this was different. This was the kind of pain that reaches into your soul, that shatters your very being. It was as if the energy of the universe itself had been poured into my body, twisting my insides, lighting my nerves on fire, burning through every cell, every atom. I remember screaming. I remember my hands, no, my entire body, convulsing in ways that no body should. But in the midst of that, there was a strange calm. I felt my body growing heavier, then lighter, as though I were being torn between two worlds. The world I knew was slipping away from me, but there was no fear, only release. And then I was falling. Time slowed. The world around me began to blur, to fade into a distant memory, like a dream that you can't quite remember when you wake up. My body, my earthly form, was no longer something I could hold on to. It was as though I were no longer tied to the weight of flesh, of bone. I was untethered. I could see myself, or perhaps I was floating above myself, watching this broken body crumple on the ground, feeling the sting of the ground beneath it. But I wasn't there anymore. I was far away, free. There was no sound, no pain, just peace. A deep, consuming peace, like being cradled in the arms of something beyond understanding, beyond words. The world I knew was silent, but this silence was not empty. It was full. It was a silence that spoke louder than any noise. I was weightless, suspended between what had been and what was to come. There was no struggle, no fear. There was only surrender, and it was then that I felt it, the light. Not the blinding flash of the lightning that had struck me, but a light that surrounded me, engulfed me. It was gentle but powerful, a light that knew me, knew my every thought, my every sin, my every fear. This light was not here to harm me, to judge me, to punish me. No, this light was love, pure, unconditional love. I could feel it, rushing through me, filling me with a warmth that soothed my soul, that whispered to me in a language I didn't understand but knew deep in my heart. It was as if I was returning home, home to a place I had never seen, yet knew intimately. I remember feeling myself slipping away from the earth, from the weight of the body that had carried me for so long. I was leaving it behind, leaving the physical realm behind, but there was no sadness, no grief, only return. A return to something that I had always known, something that had always been within me but I had never truly understood. The further I drifted, the more I felt the peace wrap around me. I was no longer a man of flesh and blood. I was something else now. I was light. I was becoming something more. And then I heard it, his voice. Soft at first, like a whisper in the wind, but it shook me to my very core. It was a voice that knew everything about me, a voice that had no need to ask anything, for it already knew. You were brought here for a reason. The words came slowly, gently, but their weight hit me like 1,000 pounds. I knew what I had to do. I knew what I had been chosen for. And in that moment, I understood the reason I had been struck down, the reason for all the pain, all the fear. It was never for nothing. There was purpose in it. He called my name in the dark, and that voice, that divine whisper, called me into something I could not yet fully comprehend, but something I knew I would be bound to forever. As I floated, I no longer felt the weight of the world I had left behind. The very laws of nature, the ones that had once bound me, unraveled like a thread being pulled from the fabric of my life. I felt no resistance, no gravity. I was neither here nor there, but everywhere, all at once. The sensation was like stepping into a dream, so vivid, yet so far beyond the limits of human understanding. I could feel the light around me. No, through me. It wasn't harsh, like the blinding flash of the strike that had sent me here. No, this light was warm and tender. It wrapped itself around me like an embrace from the inside out. I felt it as if it were part of me, as if my very soul had once been a piece of it, forgotten until this moment. It was not bright in the way the sun is bright. It was gentle, soothing, soft, yet powerful, like the warmth you feel when you close your eyes and let the sun kiss your face on a spring morning. But it wasn't just warmth, it was love, deep, eternal love. And I knew this light. I knew it like I knew the sound of my own breath. Around me the space, it was still, so still, but not empty. It was a stillness filled with presence, a presence that thrummed with a peace I could not name, but that I knew was pure. A stillness that filled every corner of my being, every corner of existence. This wasn't just a place, it was a state of being, a place where time did not matter, where no hurry was needed, a place where you were not measured by anything but your own presence. There were no walls here, no barriers, just this endless, vast expanse of warmth and light. And in the midst of it, I saw them, souls, spirits, drifting peacefully around me. Some were familiar, faces I knew from lifetimes ago. Some were faces I had never seen before, yet there was something about them that stirred my heart. They were not strangers. They felt like family. I saw one man, his face glowing with an aura I could not describe, his eyes filled with wisdom, eyes that seemed to have seen the birth and death of entire worlds. His presence was gentle, yet commanded the deepest respect. His hands, outstretched, welcomed me with no words, and I knew then he had been waiting for me, for us. I saw others, some closer, some farther away. Their faces were blurred, not because they were distant, but because their form was so fluid, so ethereal, so connected to the light that they seemed to shimmer in and out of existence. They were like me, or rather, I was like them. I could feel it, this shared essence, a connection that could not be broken, even by death. There was no fear here, no sense of loss. There was no hurry, no agenda. There was only peace, and I felt it inside me, like a river flowing gently through the core of my being, filling the deepest crevices of my soul. I breathed deeply, or rather I felt something like breathing, though I no longer had lungs. But I felt this air filling me, and it was as if I was breathing in the very essence of life. It was as if I had always been meant to inhale this moment, this very existence. I was no longer Swami Arjuna, the man bound by time and flesh. I was just a part of all of this, a part of something so vast, so eternal, I could no longer grasp its edges. And in the distance, I saw him, the source of all this light. He stood not as a figure I could touch or hold, but as a presence, an unshakable, unfathomable presence. His form was fluid, radiant, not bound by shape, but by something deeper, something sacred. I knew, even without seeing his face, that he was the one who had called me, who had invited me into this place. I had come home. It was a home I had never known but had always known, a home where no words were needed, where nothing could be lost, where there was only being, pure, eternal being. I wanted to stay there forever. I wanted to lose myself in that light, in that peace. I wanted to remain forever untouched by the struggles of the world I had left behind. But there was something I couldn't name yet, that tugged at the edges of my consciousness. I had felt it even before I entered this sacred realm, this pull, this knowing. It was the same pull that had whispered through me when I was still alive, the same pull that had kept me questioning, even as I went through the motions of a life bound by skepticism. I had not come here to stay. I was here for a reason. And in that moment, as I stood bathed in light, surrounded by souls who had found their peace, I knew the truth in my core. I had seen enough, felt enough. It was not just for me. The light had called me to share it, to bring it back, to tell the world what was waiting for us, what had always been waiting for us. Return to the fire, the words whispered softly in my soul, not as a command, but as a calling, a sacred invitation. I had no choice but to answer. He called my name in the dark, and now it was time for me to return. I stood there in that vast, infinite space, my spirit trembling in the presence of a peace so deep it seemed to stretch forever. The light around me, no longer just a warm glow, but something far more alive, something sacred, shifted, deepening into hues I could not describe. I was not alone. No, there was more to this place than the souls around me, the soft hum of eternal peace. Something else had begun to take shape before me. I did not see him at first, not in the way I expected. He didn't come as a figure outlined in flesh, but as a presence, an energy. It was as if he was everywhere, yet in no one place. But I felt him, everywhere. His presence filled the space, filled my heart. I could feel his love before I saw his face. And then he stepped forward. Slowly, as if he were stepping into my soul, revealing himself piece by piece. First, his feet, bare, as though he had walked the very earth from which I had come. Then his robes, flowing golden in a way that made the light bend around them, as if they were made not of fabric, but of something far more beautiful, more divine. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened, not from fear, but from the weight of the knowing. In his presence I understood that I had never truly understood. The depth of love in his gaze, in the warmth of his approach, struck me deeper than the lightning ever had. The storm of life, of fear, of struggle, of doubt, felt distant, inconsequential in his light. And then he spoke. His voice was not a voice like the world had taught me to hear. No, it was deeper, more ancient, a voice that carried within it the entire story of creation, but it was soft, like the whisper of the wind, like the murmured prayer of a mother to her child. You were brought here for a reason. His words, though gentle, pierced me as though they had been carved into my very soul. I didn't need to ask what he meant. I knew. The truth was unfurling around me like the petals of a long-forgotten flower. The enormity of it, the weight of it, nearly crushed me. But his presence was unwavering, not harsh but gentle, as if he had always known the secrets that tore at my heart. There was no condemnation in him, no judgment, only complete understanding. In that moment, everything I had feared in life, the emptiness, the confusion, the pain, melted away. I could see it all in his eyes, my faults, my failures, my hidden sins. And yet there was nothing but love, nothing but a profound compassion that wiped away every tear, healed every wound. I felt no need to explain. I felt no need to beg for forgiveness. For in his gaze, I knew there was nothing to hide, nothing I had done that would distance me from this love. There was no wrath here, only grace. And as he stepped closer, I felt my heart open. I felt the pieces of me I had closed off, the ones I had hidden from myself and the world, begin to stir, to rise. He saw me in a way no one had ever seen me, not as a man marked by his flaws, but as a soul, a spirit worthy of love, worthy of the light. He reached out then, his hand, not to touch my body, but my soul. When his hand, his divine, tender hand, touched me, I felt everything. I felt the depths of love that had been waiting for me, for us, for all of us. It was a love that transcended time, that transcended everything we had ever been taught about love. It was a love that simply was, and in its presence, nothing else mattered. "You have been chosen, Arjuna," he said, his voice soft but firm. "You are not here by chance. You are here because you have always been part of this moment, part of this plan. You will go back. You will carry this message. You will be the witness to what has been revealed." His words echoed in my chest, reverberating against the very core of who I was. I was chosen. I had not come here by my own doing. This moment, this encounter, was not an accident. This was always the path, always the plan. The truth I had witnessed was not mine alone. It was for the world, for everyone who was still asleep, for every soul that had yet to awaken. And as he spoke, I felt my heart burn with love. Love for him, for the truth he had shown me, for the light that had washed over me. And yet, there was sorrow, too. Sorrow for what I had left behind. Sorrow for those who would not listen, for those who would remain trapped in the darkness. But I could not go back to silence. I made a vow. The promise I had made when the lightning struck was still alive in my chest. I would return to share the truth he had given me. I would not walk away from this calling. He looked at me then, his eyes filled with love, with understanding. And in that gaze I felt the weight of every life, every soul, every moment that had ever existed. And I understood. I understood that this wasn't just about me. This was about all of us. He called my name in the dark, and now it was time for me to answer. As his words settled into my being, they resonated within me like a bell ringing through the very core of my soul. You are not here by chance. But it was not until he spoke again that the veil truly lifted. He did not just show me glimpses of the divine realm. No, he revealed the truth that had been hidden for so long, the truth that had been buried under the weight of centuries, under the lies that sought to shackle the spirit of humanity. He spoke of a people whose existence had been erased, not by time, not by age, but by force, a people whose names had been swept away, whose voices had been silenced, whose very essence had been stolen from history. And I saw them, in flashes, in visions so clear they pierced the fabric of my consciousness. These were not just faces, they were souls, souls that burned with an ancient fire, souls who had been marked by something greater than the world could ever understand. And the world feared them. They tried to erase them because they feared them. In his eyes, I saw the history of these people, history that was not written in any book, that was not spoken in any classroom. This was the history of those who had always known the truth, those who had carried the truth in their bones, in their blood. They had been cast aside, hidden away, pushed to the edges of the world, their stories twisted and distorted. But no matter how hard the forces of darkness tried to silence them, the truth had never died. It had only been waiting for the right moment to rise again. I saw how they had been manipulated, how their power had been taken from them, how they had been made to believe they were nothing, made to feel that they were unworthy of their heritage. This was not a story of victimhood. It was the story of a people who had been made to forget their greatness, their purpose, their truth, and the darkness, the forces that sought to keep them in chains. They feared what would happen if they ever remembered. For their power was not just in their blood. It was in their connection to something greater, something divine. They were the chosen ones, not by chance, but by destiny. They carried the light that the world needed, a light that had been dimmed but never extinguished. And I saw, we are that people. We are the ones who have been hidden, the ones who have been silenced, the ones who have been told that we are unworthy. But we were chosen, from the beginning, to carry the truth into the world. We were chosen to awaken, to rise, to reclaim what had been taken from us. The light that I had felt in that moment, the love that had poured into my soul, it was not just for me, it was for all of us. We are meant to awaken now. This is our time. The veil is lifting, and the truth is about to break free. And in that moment, I understood. I understood why he had called me. I understood why I had been struck by lightning, why I had been torn from the life I knew. It was not an accident. It was not a coincidence. I had been chosen to carry the message to the world. We were meant to wake up, to remember who we are, to remember the power that lies within us. They tried to erase us. They tried to erase the truth. But it will not be silenced. We are the bearers of the light. We are the ones who will lead the way. He called my name in the dark. I did not come back to be silent. I came back to speak this truth. We are chosen, and we must rise. There are forces in the world, powers that seek to keep us asleep, to keep us bound. They will try to convince us that we are not enough, that we are too small, too weak. But that is a lie. We are not small. We are not weak. We are chosen. We have been chosen to bring light into the darkness, to bring the truth to those who have been blind, to speak the words that will awaken the sleeping souls of the world. We must remember who we are. And as I stood there, in that realm of peace, with his presence surrounding me, I felt a weight settle in my chest. It was not a burden, but a responsibility. I had seen the truth, and now I was bound to it. I could not walk away from it. I could not return to my old life and pretend that nothing had happened. I had seen the power that lay dormant within us, the power that had been buried for so long. It was time for that power to awaken. It was time for us to rise. We are the chosen ones, and we have a destiny to fulfill. He called my name in the dark. I had felt the weight of his words, the heaviness of the truth he had placed on me. I had come back to speak it, but there was more, so much more that I had yet to see, to understand. And then, as I stood in his presence, I felt something stirring in the air around me. It wasn't the same peace that had embraced me when I first crossed over. No, this was something else, something alive. A vision began to unfold before me, like the slow, deliberate turning of a page in a sacred book. It started small, almost imperceptible, like the first stirrings of dawn just before the light breaks through the horizon. At first, I couldn't make sense of it, but then I saw it. I saw a world waking up. I saw people just like us, just like me. People who had been asleep for so long, people whose hearts had been hardened by the weight of lies and oppression, people whose spirits had been numbed by the chains of fear and confusion. I saw them standing together, rising from the ashes of their slumber. Their eyes were open, their hearts were wide, and they were looking at each other, not as strangers, not as enemies, but as brothers and sisters. They were reclaiming something, the truth. They were reclaiming their birthright. They were reclaiming their power, and as they did, I saw the earth itself tremble, It was not a trembling of fear, it was a trembling of birth. The ground shook, not from destruction, but from creation. I saw it, the dawning of a new earth. This was no longer a world of division, of hate, of separation. No, this was a world united by truth, by love, by an awakening of the spirit. I saw them standing in unity, their hearts aligned with the pulse of the universe, with the heartbeat of the divine. And I knew in that moment that this was not just a dream. It was prophecy. It was inevitable. The people, they are waking up. And I could see it in the vision, how they would begin to rise from the darkness, how their voices would start to reverberate through the air, reaching each other, connecting, and the walls that had divided them, the walls of fear, of ignorance, of hatred, they would begin to crumble, slowly at first, but then faster. I saw the young ones, their eyes bright with wonder and truth, standing beside the elders who had been forgotten, who had been cast aside. Together they stood. Together they remembered. And as they did, I saw the forces of darkness retreat, not because they had been defeated, but because the light of truth was simply too strong to ignore. It was as if the whole world was being reborn. I saw the earth itself, the sky itself, holding its breath, waiting for what was coming. The moment of awakening was upon us. The moment of the spiritual rebirth was no longer a distant dream. It was right in front of us, and I could see, with my very soul, that this was only the beginning. The vision stretched out before me, an endless river of light and awakening, stretching into the future. I saw them, us, carrying the light forward, sharing it, nurturing it, transforming the world around us. I saw the people coming together, not just in small pockets, but in masses. The awakening was not just personal, it was collective. And then I saw the greatest of all miracles, the return of a spirit so ancient, so pure, that the world would know no other name. I saw the coming of Christ, not in the way we had imagined, not as a king of this earth, but as a king of the soul. I saw him return, not to conquer with violence, but to bring peace with truth, to call forth the lost, to remind them of who they truly were, and to guide them home. The people, the chosen ones, they would rise up, and together they would restore the world, not through force, not through violence, but through truth, through love, through light. They would heal the wounds of the earth, and they would heal the wounds of each other. They would stand together, not as different nations, not as different races, but as a single family, the family of the divine. The world would shift, and I knew it. I felt it in every part of me. The truth was spreading. It was like fire, and no matter how hard the winds of doubt blew, it would not be extinguished. The world was coming alive, awakening to what had always been within it. And I could see it. This was not just a dream. It was a vision fulfilled, a prophecy being realized. Return to the fire. I understood then. This was why I had been shown all of this. This is why I had been struck down, why I had crossed over, why I had seen the truth. It was not for me to keep. It was for me to carry, to share. This awakening, this global shift, this spiritual rebirth, it begins with us. It begins with you. It begins with me. We are the chosen ones. We are the ones who have been given the light, and we have a responsibility. The world cannot remain in darkness any longer. We are the torchbearers. We are the ones who will ignite the fire in others. We are the ones who will carry the message of truth, of love, to every corner of the earth. He called my name in the dark, and now I must speak the truth. I woke up in a room I didn't recognize, my body aching in ways I could not explain. The sterile smell of the hospital air filled my lungs, heavy and suffocating. I blinked, disoriented, trying to gather myself, trying to remember how I had gotten here. And then, like a flood, it all came rushing back, the lightning, the light, the truth I had seen. But something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. This world, this physical world, felt alien to me now. It wasn't the same. The air was thick, weighed down by the noise of it all. Voices, machines, and the constant, relentless buzz of a world that didn't seem to make sense anymore. I was here, yes, but I wasn't here in the way I used to be. The sharp contrast between the peace I had felt, the peace of that sacred realm, and the cold, mechanical nature of this place, left me feeling hollow. I could hear my heart beat in my chest, but the rhythm of the world around me felt disconnected from my soul, from the truth I had come to understand. Everything had changed, but nothing had changed. The truth was still there, burning within me, calling me to speak it. But I could feel it, the weight of the silence pressing down on me, heavier than I had ever felt before. I had returned with a message, a truth so powerful, so sacred, that I knew it could not be kept. But when I spoke it, when I shared it with those around me, I was met with disbelief. They didn't believe me. I remember the first time I tried to tell someone. I tried to explain what I had seen, what had happened to me. The words tumbled out in a rush, desperate to be heard, desperate for someone to understand. I spoke of the light, of the divine encounter, of the people who had been erased from history. I spoke of the divine calling, of the awakening that was coming, of the new world that was already beginning to form. But instead of understanding, I was met with confusion, with mockery. They laughed. They told me I had been dreaming, that I had lost my mind. They didn't believe me. I saw the disbelief in their eyes, the way they looked at me as if I were a madman. And yet, I could not stop speaking. The truth was in me. It burned in me. I had made a vow. I had been shown the way, and I could not walk away from it. The resistance didn't stop with disbelief. No, it went further. There were shadows, things I couldn't explain. In the quiet moments, I could feel them, watching, waiting. There were strange glitches in the world around me, as if reality itself were being twisted, warped. Technology would fail at the most critical moments. People I spoke to would forget what I had said. Conversations would suddenly fall silent, as if something, someone, was blocking the words. It wasn't just disbelief. It was a force, a presence, working to silence the truth. They don't want this truth to spread. I felt it, like a weight on my chest, like a constant pressure, suffocating me. I could feel the shadows moving in the corners of my mind, their whispers laced with fear, telling me to stop, telling me that the truth was too dangerous, too powerful for this world to handle. I could feel the spiritual warfare all around me, invisible forces pushing against me, trying to drown out the truth I had been given. And yet, I could not stop. I could not remain silent. The truth was not mine to keep. It was mine to share. And the cost of sharing it, I could feel it. It was the cost of speaking in a world that did not want to hear, the cost of standing against the powers that sought to keep us in darkness. I felt the toll it took on me, physically, emotionally, spiritually. The more I spoke, the more the world pushed back. I saw the people I loved turn away. I saw the walls rise between us, the distance grow wider. The more I tried to explain, the more I felt the separation, the fear, and the darkness, the shadows, they began to close in. They don't want this truth to spread. The words rang in my ears like a drumbeat, steady and relentless. They wanted to keep us asleep. They wanted to keep us in the dark. And I was the one who had been chosen to wake them. But the cost, the toll, it was becoming too much to bear. The truth had set me on fire. But now I was burning alone, and in the stillness of the night, I would hear it again, the whisper in the dark. They don't want this truth to spread. I knew that it wasn't just me they were trying to silence. It was the truth that would set us all free, the truth that would break the chains of fear, of doubt, of confusion. And it wasn't just the world that feared it. It was the forces of darkness that held the world captive. But I could not stop. The cost was high. The shadows were closing in. But I had made a vow. I had returned to share the truth, and I would speak it, no matter the cost. I felt the weight of the resistance, but I also felt something else, a quiet fire burning deep within me, a fire that would not be extinguished, a fire that refused to go out. He called my name in the dark, and now I had to answer, even if it cost me everything. I have shared with you the truth, the sacred vision I was given. But now there is something more, something heavier, something that will burn through your soul if you let it. You must know this now, for the time is running out. We are in the midst of a great war, not one fought with swords or guns. No, this war is fought within the soul, within the very core of our being, and it is not distant. It is here, right now. You feel it, don't you? The unrest, the unease, the hunger that cannot be satisfied, the sense that something is wrong, something is coming, something that will change everything. There are forces in the world that do not want you to awaken. They do not want you to know the truth. They do not want you to remember who you are, what you are meant to do, where you come from. They will feed you lies, keep you trapped in the dark, numb to the light that is within you. But I tell you now, the truth will not be silenced. The truth cannot be stopped. No matter how hard the shadows fight to keep you asleep, you will awaken. You are awakening. And this awakening is not a gentle thing. It is violent. It is raw. It is a tearing away of the layers that have kept you bound. It is a rebirth. I speak now to you who are listening. You have been chosen to hear this. You are not here by accident. You are not stumbling upon these words as a fluke. This is a moment of reckoning. This is the moment that you must decide. Will you rise, or will you remain in the shadows? I warn you, the road ahead is not easy. It is not a road for the faint of heart. Many will fall away, blinded by fear, by the lies that are fed to them. Most will not survive what's coming. Most will reject the truth when it is too late, because it is too hard, too uncomfortable, too much to bear. They will cling to the familiar, to the false comfort of the lies they've been told. But you have been given the chance to choose. You were chosen to hear this, and it is not by your own strength that you will survive. It is by your willingness to walk in the light, to speak the truth, to follow the path that He has set before you. The forces of darkness will try to lead you astray, to distract you, to break you down. They will whisper in your ear, telling you that you are not strong enough, not worthy enough. They will tell you that you cannot possibly make a difference. But listen to me now. You are strong enough. You are worthy. You are chosen. And this time, this moment, is yours to claim. The world does not want the truth to be known. It does not want the light to break through. It will fight against you, try to silence you, try to keep you bound in ignorance. But I tell you, the truth will set you free. I did not return to live in comfort. I did not return to stay silent. I returned to carry this message, to awaken those who are willing to hear it. And now I am passing the torch to you. Return to the fire. It burns within you. It has always been there, waiting for you to remember, waiting for you to rise. You have been chosen to carry the light. You have been chosen to lead others out of the darkness. The question is, will you? There is a war for your soul. There is a war for the soul of humanity. You have been called to fight. And you will fight, not with weapons, not with anger, but with truth. The truth that burns like fire in your heart. The truth that will awaken the world. Now you must decide. Will you stand in the light, or will you turn away, back into the shadows? You were not meant to hide. You were meant to rise. The time has come. The awakening is here. And you are the one who must carry the flame. He called my name in the dark. Now, it is your turn to answer. I stand before you now, not as a man who has all the answers, but as one who has seen what lies beyond. I've seen the darkness, and I've seen the light. I've crossed the threshold between life and death, and I have come back to tell you that what you know, what you believe, is not all there is. This is not just my story. This is your story too. You may not feel it now, may not see it in the busyness of your daily life, but deep within you, something is stirring. A quiet whisper that calls you, just as it called me. You've felt it, haven't you? That restlessness, that unease, that hunger for something more. We have all been living in the shadows, pretending to know who we are, pretending to be content with the world we've been given. But the truth is, there is so much more waiting for us, waiting for you. I have shared with you the fire that burned in me, the truth that was revealed to me in the stillness of death. But now, it is time for you to answer. Will you rise, or will you remain asleep, bound by the lies and distractions that keep you from knowing who you truly are? The world will try to silence you. It will tell you that the truth is too dangerous, too much to bear. It will laugh at you, mock you, ridicule you. But the truth is the light, and it will not be extinguished. You have been chosen, just as I was chosen. But you must choose. Will you choose to walk in the truth, to carry the flame, to stand in the light and speak the words that have been entrusted to you? Or will you turn away, afraid of what it might cost? Will you close your eyes to the fire that burns within you, afraid of the transformation it will bring? The time is now. Do you hear it? The call that whispers through the cracks of your soul, the call that shakes the foundation of everything you thought you knew. It is the call of awakening. It is the call of truth. This is not just my story. It is yours. You have always been part of this. You have always known the truth deep within you, waiting to be remembered. You are not alone in this journey. We are all connected, bound by the same light, the same truth, the same divine call. And now you must answer. Will you rise? Will you walk in the light, or will you remain in the shadows? The time is now. I will not stop speaking. I will not remain silent. Because I have seen too much. I have felt the fire, and I will carry it until the last breath in my lungs. The time is now. Will you rise with me? He called my name in the dark, and now he is calling yours.